I have total 15 years plus experience as an Oracle DBA, and I worked on mostly on the Oracle technology. I worked as well on Postgres. I worked on upgrade and migration from on-premise to Oracle Cloud as well as on AWS. I've also worked on uh, planning of database migration from AWS EC2 to AWS RDS. I have more than 10 plus years of experience on performance tuning, and I'd like to share my what are experience I have gained so far in this 15 plus years of experience, not only in terms of uh, technical part as well as in terms of how how we deal with the situations, how we deal with the scenarios which comes in our in the DBS day-to-day life, and how we deal with how we need to cope up with it. And so I will be sharing along with the technical parts which we will be discussing on. So I will share my experiences. It may help. So that is all about me. And currently I'm working with a US client. That's all from my side. So let's start with we have the participants. Ashwarya, can you give your what is the experience as an Oracle DBA, and what is the expectation from this demo class?
Sure, sir. I'm audible now.
Yeah, you are good.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. My name is Aishwarya Bhenge. So I'm from Bangalore. Currently, I'm working in HCL Technologies. I'm working in a different domain actually. My domain is IAM. I'm taking I'm working on the users access provisioning part right now. So I have total 2 years of experience. I want to change my domain as a Oracle DBA. So I don't know anything about the Oracle as a DBA. So I want to learn the new domain and new technologies. So my now right now my experience is on only for the provisioning part, like users. I used to provision, give the access to users, and handling the tickets as well. So that's what I have right now.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Lakshmi,
Thank you.
what is your experience and what is your expectation from the demo class? Okay. Nitin, can you share your experience? What is your experience as an Oracle DBA? How many years of experience you have?
Yes, thank you. I am Nitin, as currently working as operation engineer in telecom domain. I have little bit hands-on on Oracle database, like day-to-day activities, kind of like to fetch some data, to update some data in database, delete, insertion, basic kind of things I am doing on daily operations on database.
Oh, fine. Thank you. Okay. Lakshmi, what is your experience?
Sorry?
Thank you, Nitin. Lakshmi,
No.
what is your experience? Okay. Okay, let's start then. We'll start a bit on what we have as a content, and what topics we are going to cover it and how we are going to cover it. I will be sharing my screen, and we'll start with that. Okay, fine. So let me know if my screen is visible to all.
Yeah, visible.
It's visible.
Thank you. Thank you. So, so as we all know, we have three different topics, like Oracle DBA, and then we have Oracle DataGuard, and Oracle RAC. So the participants of which till we have the three participants which we have, they are new to this field. Okay, so we'll go to what things we are going to cover. Is we'll start with the basics. Basically, like what is actually the Oracle database? Okay, how it looks like, how it, what is the internal components of the database? So whenever we see any application running, whenever as an end user, when we use any applications, say we might be using uh, banks, websites. We do so multiple of transactions throughout the day. We use different applications throughout our day-to-day life. Like we pay some premiums of our insurances. Okay, we pay electricity bills, other bills we pay. So you can imagine everywhere is database, and everywhere the most of the applications which use as an Oracle database. So being as a DBA is like you are the core, you are the heart of the entire system, entire application. So you will get a empty system where you need to bring up that system. You need to make that system live. The word system, by system I mean is the servers. Okay, so you will be having the blank servers with you. Nothing will be there except the OS which is installed by the system teams, or the OS teams. Now you get the system, you build up everything, you install the software of the Oracle database, then you create the database, then you make the system ready for the application to be connected with the database. And now when the application is deployed on the application servers, they start communicating with our database, and then as an end user we use that. So any DBA who has been working or who will be working will feel proud that whatever system is there in the market today, at most of the places, at some or the other place, some of the other application backend part, I have been part of it. I bring up a dead system to a live system which is not running, and everyone is just using that. So that is the proudest part of in a DBA's life. So you get a dead system, you make it live, and everything is there working on it. So as you all are fresh to this field, so we'll start with the basics. We'll start with what is actually the database, how it, what are the components of the database. When we talk about the components, means the internal structure, the skeleton, you can say the skeleton of the database, how it looks like internally, how it works internally, what are the parts, which part of the database does what kind of activities, what is its role in it, and how important it is. So everything will be there in the first topic and the second topic, which we see database architecture overview and how database works. Okay, so then we'll go the third topic, which is the table and index structure. So when the software is installed, so as you all are new to it, so we'll start with the basics. Like in our personal systems, we'll be installing the for labs. This will be mostly the labs will be having a bit of theory before starting the labs, and those whatever topics we'll be covering as a theory part will be covering same in the labs. So for the labs, we'll need the Oracle VirtualBox. We'll be sharing you the VirtualBox link. You can download the VirtualBox. You can download the Linux software as well, and you can install the VirtualBox. On the VirtualBox, you need to install the Linux OS, and then on the Linux OS, you will be installing the Oracle software, and then we'll be creating the database. So we'll be doing everything step by step. So now, before setting up the any database on your personal laptop, you need to see what is the configuration of your personal laptop. So at least 8 GB RAM should be there, because if it is 2 or 4 GB RAM, then it will be a bit difficult for your system to cope up uh, with or the installation of, because you need to provide some of the RAM to the virtual box, which it will be consuming it. And if you have already many softwares installed on your system, then it is going to slow down your laptops. So please ensure that you have at least 8 GB of RAM, because at least 50% of the RAM will be trying to assign to the VirtualBox, so that the VirtualBox starts quickly, and your database, when you do the activity, your laptop doesn't hangs. So that is for most important thing, because going through the topics, going to the contents, the documents, uh, w- uh, will be of no help unless we don't do the labs on our own. The other option could be like you can create your account on the OCA on the Oracle Cloud, which is a free for 1 month. Okay. Uh, so there you can, even there you can practice, but you can that will be unlimited access to it. So better to have those softwares ready with you. We'll be sharing the links. Okay, and then we'll set up those environments on our laptop, and then we'll start that demo class. Okay, so once the uh, softwares are ready, the database is ready, the next comes to the part of as a DBA, when the application is going to be deployed on the system. So what are the contents of the data? What are the contents the application needs? So those things are the tables. So what are data we do as an end user when we use any application, any website, or what are transactions we do? Everything goes into a database. So in database, there are tables where actually the data is getting stored. Okay, and now you must we all must have we all have seen like some of the that sometimes the transactions are very quick. Sometimes the transactions take a bit of time, some day or some period of time when the load is more on the system or on the website. So how it works, what is the reason behind it? So I will be explaining those things, that what is the reason, if and how next day you see the same system performance getting improved, the transaction gets completed within a fraction of seconds. So how it happens, what is the thing going behind of it? So we'll learn that those things in table and in a structure. And then so any DBA, if you want to grow, if you want to develop into a better DBA, the very basics is this understanding of the SQL and PL/SQL structure. So DBAs usually don't write PL/SQL codes. So may I know how many of you are aware of what is PL/SQL code? What are packages, procedures in terms of Oracle database? Just raise your hands, or you can just type Y in the chat. So, so the understanding of the SQL and understanding of the PL/SQL structure is very important before we start up as a DBA. Now, uh, maybe you must have seen some of your colleagues, scopes, your team members in your project team as a DBA or working, and they're doing some stuffs, but they might if you go to, they might not be working on the SQL, but writing codes, writing some kind of logical structure, logical things, business logics. So they might not be doing it. So now you will ask me a question, why this topic is in this as an Oracle DBA. What is the importance of learning SQL? Because we are going to install the softwares, we are going to deal with the database, we are going to deal with the backups, recoveries, and those code stuffs, things, upgrade and migration, and then the patching things. So what point does this holds as an SQL and PL research? So when you grow as a DBA, you will need to do some kind of analysis on your own. You might have some tools. So there are multiple tools uh, th- to monitor the database health, to monitor other activities of the database. Okay, but every time you cannot depend on the tools. You need to write your own code to make the analysis. Okay, so for that reason you need to write the SQL queries. So there comes the importance of knowing what are the Oracle database views which we should know, and how are you going to join them to get a idea of what the data, what are the content, what the database holds in it. for us for making any analysis of the database. In the same way, PLSQL structure. So if you do a repetitive work, say suppose, uh, as you know, your storage on your mobile keeps, when you have a 60 GB, and out of the 60 GB space on your mobile, when you have a new mobile, you have only very limited space to utilize. Out of 60 GB, maybe 1 GB of photos you might have. Later on, it keeps on increasing to 10, then to 20, then your mobile keeps on sending a notification that it is on low on storage. So similar thing is here with the database. Now, what is the growth of that data? How the data is going in your database? That is the part where the Oracle DBA needs to know how to write an SQL query, because anyone, any team, any client would come to the DBA to know what is my database growth. It has been over the last maybe 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and what could be the expected growth, so that I can do a capacity planning. Capacity planning in the sense that how much storage do I need for the next 6 months, or say 1 or 2 years. So those all things are being provided by the DBA. So until unless I don't know to write an SQL query, I don't know which views to look at, how to join them, and generate a data for my client. So it will be a difficult thing. So we should note the SQL part. Now, right, if you keep on doing the repetitive ones, so as a human, it will be okay for us for a few days that we keep on doing the same work every day. But someday it will come that you will get bored with it and you need to automate it. So there comes the PLSQL structure, PLSQL coding. You can automate your that part, database growth size analysis, into a PLSQL code, and that will be an automatic job which will keep on running on its own on a specific period of times. Okay, so like in case in our day-to-day life, if I talk about the alarm which we set in our mobile. Okay, so if we keep on setting it repeatedly every day at a specific time, but the mobile gives an option to keep it, whether we want to repeat it or in what fashion we need to repeat it, what is the frequency we need to set the alarms. So that is automated. So we need to set only once, and we can, uh, as per our choice, we can opt for any of the options, whether it is every day or whether it is twice a week or bi-weekly, whatever way we want the alarm to be set. Similar way, the whatever repetitive works we do as an DBA, writing SQL queries, we can automate it through the PLSQL code. So there it is. Then coming to the table space management. Now, when I talk about table and the index in the third, now those are the things which are the logical things, which are actually not physically present in that database. So where it is now, when we are creating a table to store the data, what are the data is getting generated on the system, where it goes, where it is stored, those things will come to know in the table space management. So what is actually table space in terms of Oracle database, what it does, what is the importance of it. So we'll learn in this table space management. So the first 5 chapters are the very basics which every DBA should know. Not only the DBA, even who are working as a developer. They should also know. They should know what is the database architecture, how my database works. Because if I don't know, and if I start coding it blindly, there might be chances that the code which I write might not be performing as per the requirement of the system or the application. And same, I would have to do the rework again. So the that is one thing which the first 5 topics, the chapters which we see here is as an Oracle DBA, that is commonly important for any DBA or developer. Developer in the sense means who are doing the front end development, who are doing the backend development. Backend development means you write a PLSQL packages where you build up the business logics. Okay. Then coming to the redo data monitoring. Now, what is redo? What is the importance of redo, and what exactly it is? We'll learn about this redo monitoring, which is basically the DBA should know because it plays an important role in maintaining your database and your data as well, and for the performance of the database as well. Then we'll talk about backup and recovery. So in backup and recovery, we'll talk about the what are the options to take the backup. Okay, once And then what strategies as a DBA we should follow, best strategies, best practices to have the database backed up so that it can be stored for a longer period of time, and as and when required, that those backups can be utilized. So we'll talk about in backups like data pump utility is there, which is Oracle's inbuilt utility, and then there is an Arman backup, which is another utility. So we'll discuss on uh, the basics of data pump. We'll start very at the basics. What is the structure? What is the syntax of the data pump, and how the data pump is used, and how it takes the backup, how we can monitor it, and how we can improve the performance of that data pump backup. Then same things for the Arman. What is Arman backup? What is the difference between the data pump backup and the Arman backup? Why we should take it? And when we come to talk about the strategies, so how we should strategize database backup? Because when should we take the data pump backup? When we should take the Arman backup? Or whether we should take both the backups or not? So those things we'll discuss in our backup and recovery part. Because as in DBA, when you're working for any application of any client,
Okay,
any
Abhinay.
client would like to know that uh, my how are you going to plan to back up my data in case of worst scenarios if it comes. So how are you planning to back up my data, and how are you going to store it, for how long it should be stored, where it should be stored, and how can I can maintain it for a longer period of time. So those things come up in backup strategies. And recovery means, if the system is down for any reason, if I have backup, then how can we use those backups to recover our system or our database. So we'll talk about the scenarios, we'll talk about the strategies in terms of what the clients can expect from you, and how you're going to answer it to the client. So not only technically, but also logically, to explain the client so that the client gets satisfied. Yes, the DBA who is handling my database is answering it to correct, and he's taking me into confidence. So there, that is the most important. Not only technically you should be sound, you should know about the basics, but you should also know how you're explaining your technical things to a client or to some person who wants to know about his security of his system. So those technical things, we cannot explain everything technically, that we will do the data pump of your database. We use data pump utility. So everyone doesn't know what the data pump it is. So the client might not be knowing it, but client might be knowing that yes, I need to have my database backed up, and it should be backed up in such a way whenever there is a desire to use that backup, it should be available readily and it should be used immediately. I don't have to wait for a longer period of time, and I don't have to hear that, sorry, I don't have we don't have the backup for your database. So no one is going to take that. So now when I'm talking about data pump arm, how can I explain it technically to in a non-technical way, in a such a way that my client is satisfied with the backup strategies which I'm proposing to the client. So all those things we will talk up in this backup and recovery, and then coming to high availability and flashback. So what is high availability and what is flashback? So by high, but by the term word high availability means that the database should be available round the clock. So the uptime should be almost 99.9999%. So near about, it cannot be 100% because some of the other time there could be some planned activities, but it should be readily available. Okay, so as we use the websites of some banks or the apps, some of the other time we might see notifications on the website that there is some maintenance activity during such and such time period, and during those periods some of the applications or some of the features won't be available in your bank account. So uh, that comes during when the maintenance activities of the database is there, when the backups are, when they're taking some kind of entire system backups, when they're planning for some high availability maintenance activities on the database. So how the during that period how the some of the features are available to us. So that comes under the high availability, that the main system, that the main production system which is available is actually not available. It is we are redirected to some standby systems, but that is actually the same replica or the true copy of the production system. So as an end user, we are not aware of it, where the data is going, but the database administrators, the DBAs, the system administrators, they know that now the production is actually not available. The replica of the production is now available, where the application has been routed and everything is going on to that standby system. And then once the activity period is completed, again the application is routed back to the original production system. So all those things come again into high availability. So how you can plan it, we'll talk about technical things, how we can design high availability, because as a DBA, the client would be expecting that you, before technically answering to the client would like to know how you're going to propose the high availability architecture to the client. What are the things, what are the components in the high availability? Okay, then comes along with high availability the flashback. What is the importance of the flashback? So the by flashback, by the term, you can understand getting back to the previous time, to the older time. So how we can flash back the database? What could be the reason for it? So I'm just taking up 1 minute small pause. Let me know if I'm clear till here. If you have any doubts, let me know. Or if I'm going very fast or I'm a bit slow, so let me know. So then we will proceed further. So till high availability and flashback, is it clear to everyone, or shall I repeat again?
Yes, Mukesh, we are good.
Okay, thank you. So now the next topic after high availability will be patching, upgrade, and migration. So I've tried to design this syllabus in such a way that we start from the very basics, then we go a bit into the development side, okay, where the DB and the developers should know what the things they need to know about the database and how it is to be done. Then comes the high availability, which is a bit advanced activities with the DBs should know and they do. And then comes the patching, upgrade, and migration. So these three, patching, upgrade, and migration, these are not day-to-day activities. They are as and when required, or as and when there is a security vulnerabilities reported, or as and when there are patches available, made available by the Oracle system, and as the client wants to get those patches into our system. Now, again, you must have seen your Android or iOS or mobiles, whoever might be using it. You must be receiving a notification that your system is getting updated. The OS is getting updated. So that is what is the patching. Okay. Of and you might be receiving that your system software is getting upgraded to a newer version. Maybe some other applications, like if you might be using the UPI payment apps like Paytm, PhonePe, or GPay, whichever you might be using, you might whenever you open it, and you might be seeing that there is a new update available to be installed, or for any application on your mobile. So that is an upgrade every time. There's an So patching means basically whenever there is any vulnerabilities reported, or it is bugs are identified by the Oracle team, so they build up patches and they provide it. And the client, now it is up to the clients to decide whether we are going to install those patches into our system or not, because patching takes maybe it might require downtime. So some of the clients might not be ready for the downtime. But now the Oracle has changed a bit the patching methods, where the patching can be done online during when the system is live and available. You can do the patching and it works fine. So but some of the patches needs a downtime, so it is up to the client to decide whether we are going to patch it, or whether actually those patches are required for our database or not. So I've been into these situations where the clients used to come. They used to receive mails, alert mails from the Oracle team that this is what bug has been identified in this version which you are using, and this is what are the the things we are going to affect in your database. And so we have these patches for this. We have a patch ready for it. So that is the mail which they receive. Now they only receive the mail, but they cannot take a call on it whether we are going to install the patch or not. That is the DBA's work to explain them that yes, are we actually needed to install those patches. It's not that every patch has to be installed. If it is for a particular version, that patch has to be installed for every for every customer's database. It is not like that. It is based on the kind of utilization of your database, whether that feature is actually being utilized in your database or not. If it is, then it is to be installed. If not, then it is not required to be installed. So that is the way how the patching goes. So now in terms of patching, actually the Oracle provides patches only to the customers. So like an individuals, okay, we can read about what are those patches and what are the purposes of those patches, for what bugs it is. But as an individual, we cannot download those patches because those are specific to production environments. And the softwares which we use generally, we also download it from the Oracle's data website. Those are basically for individual users. So for individuals, we cannot download those patches. But yes, we'll go through the steps, how it is done, what are the steps to patch a database, what needs to be taken care before patching, and after patching how we can verify it. So those things we will see. And upgrade, we'll do the upgrade of database from the lower version to the higher version. Yeah. Now coming to the database versions which we'll be using in our labs is, you can download the 11.2.04. It might not be available, but it is with me. If you want, I can say that. And 12.2.01, that is available on Oracle's website. You can download that, and then you can download the 19C. So either 11.2.04 or either 12.2.01 and 19C. So either of the two, either 11.2.04 19C or either 12.2.01 and 19C should be available with everyone. So that when we do the upgrade, okay, we'll do the upgrade from either from 11G to 19C or from 12C to 19C. The steps will remain the same. The steps doesn't change. The upgrade of how we do the upgrade from 11 to 19C, from 12 to 19C. So the steps are same. There's no changes into it. Yes, but there are different approaches. One is the manual method, other is the auto upgrade method. Okay, so we'll do both. We'll see how much time it takes, how we do the manual upgrade, how we do the auto upgrade. So auto upgrade is a utility which Oracle database has developed. So what we do in a manual upgrade, so all those steps are automated. So and how much time it is going to take, we'll see that. So basically we'll be having a small size of database. We cannot grow database into 100 GB of database. But we'll see the steps, how it goes, what are the steps involved, how the database gets upgraded, everything. And then coming to migration. So as I told that we'll be using the VirtualBox and the Linux OS. So actually we cannot do the migration in our system because we are already on the Linux system. But in real time, when you need to do the migration, so what are the methods available to migrate a database? So migration means from one server to another server, be it on the same OS, be it on the same database versions. It can be different OS. It can be from Windows system to a Linux system. Okay, so that is, so we can try in our labs when we do the practicals. We can try on a Windows laptop. We can set up a database, and the same database we will try to migrate it on the VirtualBox Linux OS. So that is one way we can do the migration. So the migration methods are different based upon the different requirement, different sizes of the database. So we cannot grow the database to a huge size on our personal laptops. But yes, we'll discuss what are the methods available to the from the Oracle side, and which method we should work with, and when we should go with a specific method and why not with a different method. So those things we'll discuss. We'll uh, so that whenever there's a requirement coming to you in near future, migrate a database. Okay, so you need to design an approach, prepare an approach for the client to propose it, that we have, say suppose we have three different approaches for migrating your database, and which one suits best for you, which will require the minimum downtime, and what are the steps involved, what could be the effort into it. So the client is interested in those things. The client would not be ready to have a longer period of downtime. Okay, so how we are going to strategize that, what are the things we should uh, uh, what are the things we should explain to the client, what are the important factors which leads to the migration downtime, how we can minimize it, which step we should follow. So everything we will discuss when we talk about the migration. So patching upgrade and migration are very rare. It is like a once upon a time activity. Now 19c is there. If you're working for a project where the database is already is on 11G, and your DBA is handling say about 100 production databases, then they will be having a lot of activities where they will be upgrading all those 100 databases to the 19c, and now 23 is going to be available. So the other clients who are already on 12c, who are already on 19c, they might be planning, or they might have already planned that we are going to go ahead with the update to 23c. So that is the one. Whenever there is a newer version available, only then the upgrade we do the databases. And migration is very rare based on the scenarios of situations, like client might come with the requirement that we are going to migrate from on-premise to OCI or to any other uh, public cloud vendors. So I will share my experience. We'll see the steps. Even we will try to simulate those things in our labs, that how the database gets migrated from on-prem to the any of the public cloud providers like AWS, like OCI. The steps are almost near about same. Only the things or terminologies are different between among the public cloud vendors. We need to know those terminologies. So I will be discussing basically on the AWS part and the Oracle Cloud part, because I've worked on both of the migrations. So I will explain all those aspects of migration when we talk about the migration topic. Then the 10th chapter will be AWS and ADDM, which means these are basically the database health reports, which the DBAs should know how to generate and how to read, and what things should be analyzed into it. Then comes the database security. This is the very important part for any DBA and for a client. There, any client would like to know how you're going to secure my data, because the client's application or the database stores the data of the end users, like we all. So we have our all the important information stored, like address is there, telephone number is there, credit card numbers are there. So the personal informations are there stored. So how, as a DB at the database, how we're going to store it when the database is live, and when we take the backup, so when it is backed up, so how that backup is secure. So we'll talk about that. And the 12th is another very important non-CDB to CDB conversion. Okay, this means that the newer versions which the Oracle is developing. So from 12C onwards, it is the databases are in CDB architecture. We'll talk about what is non-CDB, what is CDB, and how it gets converted to non-CDB architecture. So from 12C, they added a new architecture, which is a CDB architecture. 12C supports both non-CDB as well as CDB. 19C still supports both non-CDB and CDB, but 23C onwards, it is only the CDB architecture. So maybe some of the projects which you might be working on currently, the client might have a plan to go to 23C once it is available generally. So they might be having a database which is a non-CDB architecture. So now they need to convert that non-CDB to a CDB. So how it is, what are the approaches, what methods should be followed, everything we will discuss about. So we'll, and how much time we are going to spend on each of the topics. So we'll go a bit when we're done with the installations on all those softwares. We'll go deep into this very first 5 chapters, because you all are new. So we'll go a bit deep, because unless we don't understand the architecture, the structure of the database, there's no point in discussing about the other advanced topics like backup, recovery, high availability, and all those important topics. So we'll go to a bit deep into the first 5 chapters. Then we'll go at the basics with the backup recovery, so that the basics is very clear, because the backup recovery, update, patching, these are very scenario based, real time. If you are strong on your basics, whatever scenarios comes, it is real time. It might be that you might have learned everything, but that you cannot use those things when it is in a real time. That could be a different situation. That could be the first time which the system might be facing. So what are things you are facing today, what are you have learned, it might be you might come into a situation where those things you might not be able to utilize those things. Now you need to search for it. So there have been scenarios which I have been stuck with these scenarios. So I will discuss on that as well, and then we'll put focus on this non-CDB to CDB, because this is the very market driven requirement, what the companies, what the projects need today, because most of the databases are currently still in non-CDB architecture in the market. So they, whenever you search for jobs as an Oracle DBA, there will be a requirement that you need to know the CDB architecture, because they will be upgrading to 19C, they will be upgrading to 23C, or for other case, there are clients who might be migrating from on-premise to cloud. So on cloud, it is only the CDB architecture. It doesn't support even for 12C. It has to be in CDB architecture. So how that is to be done, what are the steps involved, we'll go deep into that. We'll explain step by step basics, so that you're ready, you know everything. And whenever you get a proposal, a requirement to propose how you're going to convert my CDB non-CDB to a CDB, and how you're going to upgrade and migrate in terms of non-CDB to CDB, the client wants to know from you. So if everything is clear here, so you will be having an idea that I've learned those steps, those approaches, those strategies, I can implement it here, and that will help your client to migrate your non-CDB to a CDB database. So this is all about the DBA topic. And so chapter 5, what we have, database management, to chapter 11. First, we'll start with single instance on non-CDB, and the same thing we'll do on a CDB architecture when we do the 12th topic. We will repeat again all those chapter 5 to up to 11 in a CDB database when we convert our single instance non-CDB to a CDB. So everything will be repeated again, and that will help us, all of us, to do a kind of a revision work. So CDB maintenance is a bit different with respect to non-CDB. We'll have that. Then coming to Oracle DataGuard. So Oracle DataGuard comes in Oracle High Availability, which we saw in this High Availability chapter. So we'll talk about what is actually the DataGuard, why it is needed, and how it works, what are the different kinds of standby databases Oracle provides us, and which should be used when. We have multiple options from Oracle database. Now it is up to us to decide, based on the client's requirement on the application structure, which standby databases we should go with, and why. That is we'll know in database architecture overview, DataGuard, how DataGuard works, and DataGuard setup. Then when the setup is done, how we do the replication from a production to a production system to a standby system, and how we monitor it. There are tools, there are third-party tools, there are tools which are available from the Oracle side, like it is DataGuard Broker. But initially, we are not going to do with DataGuard Broker because we don't want to spend much of the time on the tools, installing tools, knowing the tools, because that can be learned later on. But the basics are that you should know how the replication works, because whenever you go to an interview, they're not going to talk about how do you install a tool for to set up a physical standby. They want to actually know, do you know actually the basics? Do you know what is standby database? How do we set up? Why do we set up? And when we are done with it, then how do we monitor it? What are the issues we can face if you're facing any issues during the replication, during the data replication from production to the standby? So how do you monitor it? How do you analyze it? So those things are the very important things which anyone should know. When you know those things, then we can talk about the tools and other tools like DataGuard Broker, which Oracle provides. So in DataGuard topic, we'll talk about the basics. We'll talk about all the real-time scenarios, real-time issues, which I have experienced. So I will demonstrate everything here. We can break the DataGuard, we can break the sync, we can break the replication, everything, all sort of things in real-time version. We can expect everything we can create here in our labs. So in real time it will be, and it will be very uh, exciting to learn how we can break it, how we can analyze the issues, how we can monitor it, and how we can resolve those issues. Everything will be in real time, what we will be doing in DataGuard lab. Then we have how we recover from the replication failures. Those we'll be discussing in the 5th chapter. So theoretically, it will be very less. Everything will be labs and DataGuard, because while doing the labs itself, we will be knowing everything theoretically. So there's nothing theoretical in DataGuard. It's all labs. Even if you go to on the website, if you search for Oracle's documentation for a DataGuard, you won't find anywhere the theoretical things. You might find theoretical things for a DBA, like how do you do the database setup, how the database works, and all of the thing, network configuration, those things. You'll find a lot of documentation theories on Oracle's website itself, which is publicly available. But when you search about Oracle data, it's all labs. It will have all kinds of syntaxes, all kinds of options, all kinds of approaches to set up a DataGuard. Nothing is theory, everything is practical for DataGuard. Then we'll talk about the backup and recovery, how we do the backups and recovery in the DataGuard environment for the standby databases. Then 8th point is very important in a DBS life, DR drill. What is the DR drill? What is DR? DR basically is disaster recovery. So any production system, wherever it is set up, it has its disaster recovery site at a different location other than the production location. So every client would like to know, if our production goes down, planned or an unplanned manner, in any situation, if my production is not available, then whether the disaster recovery site is capable or is ready to be available immediately without end users knowing it, without impacting any of the transactions, without impacting the end users. So that is what is DR drill. So every client does this in some does in quarter basis, some does in 6 months, twice a year. So it depends on the kind of application they have and the strategies they follow. So how we do the DR drill, what are the steps, strategies involved, we'll demonstrate here in the lab. We will do on our own DataGuard environments. Okay. Then again, patching, upgrade, and migration, it is the same thing. So when we do in the Oracle DBA labs, it will be single instance without DataGuard environment. When we set up the DataGuard environment, then we'll see how we do the patching, upgrade, and migration. You can see there is a chat. Okay, and then the AWS chat, those points, and then rack. Rack will be combination of the Oracle DBA topics, which we have seen already, and the Oracle DataGuard. So whatever we will be doing in the single instance, we will be doing the same thing in rack environment. Okay, we'll be setting up second two-node rack environment, and we'll do all those activities which we have done as an Oracle DBA and in DataGuard. Everything will be in a two-node rack environment, and everything will be in a non-CDB first, and then we'll go to a CDB part. So that is a brief. This is all what actually is the content of the DBA part, and then we have the data guard part. What are the things in data guard? Let's physical standby, how they communicate, what are the ways of replication, what are the modes of replication, and how do we manage the redo data, what is the importance of this redo data, and then DR, what are the kinds of DR drills we can do, then upgrade, and then the AWS and ASH reports. I'll just take you through this PPT. This is how we'll start with. Like when we talk about this is what the architecture looks like. So we'll go to one by one when we start the actual classes. So this is how we'll start initially. Everything is related to the Oracle DBA part. So we'll go step by step. Everything is lab based. Nothing will be only theoretical. We'll start with a bit of understanding of architecture, and then everything will be practical based. Right? Okay. So that's all as far as the contents of this Oracle DBA DataGuard and RAC is concerned. If you have any questions, or you can put in your questions and just stopping this saying this. Yeah.
Krish, you joined later, right? Any doubt, you can discuss with the trainer. So right now he is available. Yeah, Krish, can you please unmute and ask some more questions? And same any
Yeah,
other.
yeah, I finally joined later. So I'm so impressed with the introduction, and it's well explicit. So but my question is, I think there's a little problem with the timing, because the time that you started the class, I was still at work. I have to drive home to attend. So I don't know if we can push the class a little bit at maybe 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. It will be good, but I don't know. Just a suggestion.
Okay. So 10 p.m. Means 10 p.m. EST timing your time, right?
Yeah, 10 p.m. I think it will be your time. So by then it will be around let me say 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. here, the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think 10 p.m. Okay, then we'll discuss on this. Ramesh, what do you say on this?
Sorry?
I think it's instead of 10 p.m. Okay, let's check with other candidates as well. If what is their availability.